From de Broglie hypothesis, which we have discussed in last video lecture, every particle is associated with wavelength, and that wavelength lambda is equal to h by p. And for electron, there will be one de Broglie wavelength. For proton, there will be one de Broglie wavelength. Different particles exhibit different de Broglie wavelengths. All particles are said to have de Broglie wavelength. And theoretically, it is satisfied. Theoretically, we are able to confirm. Theoretically, we are able to consider that particles behave in the form of wave, and light, which is treated to be wave nature, as is supposed to be a particle. Theoretically, there is no problem. And coming to the particles, de Broglie has given hypothesis that particles do behave as waves. The confirmation for de Broglie hypothesis was made by Davison and Germer electron diffraction experiment. From this experiment, we are able to conclude, we are able to confirm experimentally that particles behaves in the form of wave. So this is very important experiment, because till this experiment have confirmed that all the particles do behave in the form of wave, there is no existence for wave nature of matter. There is only particle nature. The existence of wave nature of matter was satisfied, and it is been explained by Davison-Germer experiment. And from this experiment, after this experiment, we are able to practically believe that electron do behave in the form of wave, and proton behave in the form of wave. Microscopical particles behaves in the form of waves. So now let us see what Davison and Germer have done in order to confirm that particles behave in the form of waves. Davison and Germer experiment confirms particle wave nature of light by exhibiting diffraction of the particles in their experiment. So actually, wave properties are interference and diffraction. Interference and diffraction are wave characteristics of light. These strongly support wave nature of light. These strongly support wave nature. Now, when we are dealing with particles, if they exhibit the property of interference and diffraction, it means that they too have wave nature. Considering this, Davison and Germer have confirmed particles do behave in the form of waves, because the particles in this experiment is exhibiting the phenomenon of diffraction. Now, what he have done in the experiment, let us see. So Davison-Germer experiment, it is experimental evidence of matter wave, which is given by famous physicists Davison and Germer in 1927. So they also succeeded in measuring de Broglie wavelength associated with slow electrons. They have calculated de Broglie wavelength experimentally. A beam of electron emitted by electron gun is made to fall on nickel crystal cut along cubical axis at a particular angle, and this nickel crystal behaves like a three-dimensional diffraction grating, and it diffracts electron beam obtaining from electron gun. And this diffracted beam of electrons received by the detector, which can be positioned at any angle by rotating about the point of incidence. This is the experimental arrangement and experimental observations from de Broglie hypothesis. See, this is an electron gun. This is electron gun. Electrons are being ejected from here. These are electrons. electrons are ejected from this electron gun. When you are providing sufficiently high potential difference for cathode, that cathode will eject electrons. So that is said to be an electron gun. From electron gun, a pencil beam of electrons will be coming out and they get incidented on this nickel crystal. This is nickel crystal. It is nickel crystal. And this nickel crystal is inclined by some angle. It is been inclined with some angle theta, right? And this is first layer and this is second layer. And when this nickel crystal act as target. It acts as target. The electrons which are coming from electron gun, they get incidented on the nickel crystal, and this nickel crystal act as diffraction grating. It acts as diffraction grating. So each layer of atoms behaves as one diffraction grating. So this is one layer and this is another layer. First layer will diffract some of the electron, second layer will diffract some of the electron, third layer will diffract some of the electron, and this distance between two layers is interatomic separation. Interatomic separation between two layers. So like that there will be n number of layers, and those n number of layers will be diffracting this electron which are being ejected from the electron gun, and they are being diffracted in all possible directions which can be detected by a detector. Now this is a detector. This detector can be rotated like this. It can be rotated. This detector can be rotated in this circular path. At different angles, you are able to detect some electron beam with respect to this diffraction grating. So from this, the confirmation has made that whenever electrons are being incidented upon a nickel crystal, nickel crystal act as diffraction grating. So whenever diffraction is taking place, electron will be like, diffraction is the phenomenon of waves, light waves. So whatever the phenomenon light it is exhibiting, the same way electrons are also exhibiting diffraction phenomenon. From that, we can confirm that particles behaves in the form of waves. And the de Broglie wavelength is being calculated from this experiment. And of course, in chemistry, you will be learning this equation. 2d sine theta is equal to n lambda, where n is the layer and 2d is interlattice separation between two crystal layers, and sine theta is the angle of diffraction. So from here you can write sine theta is equal to n lambda divided by 2d, and this theta is diffraction angle of electron beam. So you can calculate diffraction angle, and we can also calculate de Broglie's wavelength lambda by using this equation. Lambda is equal to 12.27 divided by under root V, and this is in angstrom. I'm sorry, it's in angstrom. This is in angstrom. Thus, the wave nature of particles is being confirmed from Davison and Germer experiment. Yeah. If the uncertainty in the position of a proton is 6 into 10 power 8 meter, the uncertainty in position, that means delta x is given to you 6 into 10 power 8 meter, then the minimum uncertainty in its speed. You want to find out minimum uncertainty in the speed. We have uncertainty principle statement states that delta x into delta p is equal to h. And from here you can write delta x into delta p can be m into delta v, which is equal to h. From here, delta v is equal to h divided by m into delta x. H is Planck's constant. Actually, you should take it as H cut. Okay. Now, this H cut value is 1.034 into 10 power minus 34 divided by what it is, particle proton. Proton mass is 1.67 into 10 power minus 27 kg, and uncertainty in the position is 6 into 10 power 8 meter. If you evaluate this, you will be getting final answer, which is delta V, uncertainty in velocity of the particle. So small correction here, you just take this as minus 8. Minus 8. It is 6 into 10 power minus 8 meter, because uncertainty in finding position will not be value of 10 power plus 8. 10 power plus 8 mean very large value. Uncertainty will be always very small. So 6 into 10 power minus 8, that 10 power minus 8 you substitute here. And finally, if you substitute 10 power minus 8 here, you will be getting nearly 1 meter per second. Yeah. Next question. The correctness of velocity of an electron moving with velocity 50 meter per second is 0.005%. The accuracy with which its position can be measured will be dash. You are supposed to find out accuracy in position. So that means delta x is equal to h cut divided by m into delta v. Delta v, it is mentioned to you. Delta v is equal to, see, the correctness of velocity of an electron moving with velocity is 50 meter per second. Actual velocity of the particle is given 50 meter per second. But its correctness is up to 0.005%. So it's not delta V given directly. You need to calculate delta V. Delta V is 0.005% of 50. So that's what I'll write it as 0.005 divided by 100 into 50. This gives you delta V. Take this delta V and substitute here. You will be getting delta X. Delta V, if you calculate, you will be getting answer 0.0025 meter per second, and delta X, it is 1.034 into 10 power minus 34 divided by mass of particle, it is 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg into delta V 0.0025. So if you calculate this, nearly it will be 4634 into 10 power minus 5 meter. The work function of your metal is given as 3 electron volt. W naught is equal to 3.0 electron volt. It is illuminated by a light of wavelength. Lambda is 3 into 10 power 7 meter. You should calculate threshold frequency. Nu naught is equal to how much? And threshold frequency, and number 2, the maximum energy of photoelectrons, that means kinetic energy of photoelectrons, number 2, and number 3, you are supposed to find out stopping potential V naught. These 3 you should calculate. So as we know, work function W is equal to Hc divided by lambda naught, or you can write it as H nu naught. So nu naught, which is threshold frequency, can be calculated as W divided by H. Work function is already been given. It is 3.0 into 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joule divided by H is Planck's constant, 6.67 into 10 power minus 34 joule second. This gives you work function. Number 2, you should find out kinetic energy of the electrons. So in order to find out kinetic energy of the electrons, we have basic relation H nu is equal to H nu naught plus kinetic energy. So I want to find out kinetic energy, which is equal to H nu minus H nu naught, it is work function. Work function is already given to you. This is hc by lambda minus w. H value you know, C value you know. Lambda is already given in the problem, 3 into 10 power 7, and W is also given in the problem. It is 3 electron volt. You can substitute that and you can find out kinetic energy of the electrons. And number 3, you are supposed to find out stopping potential. We know kinetic energy is equal to EV naught, where V naught is the stopping potential. That is kinetic energy divided by E. Whatever kinetic energy here you get, this kinetic energy should be substituted here and divide it with 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. This gives you stopping potential in volt. So if you calculate, nu naught is threshold frequency, it is 0.72 into 10 power 15 H, and kinetic energy of electrons ejected, it is 1.86 into 10 power minus 19 joule, and stopping potential V naught is equal to 1.16 volt. These are the answers of this question. You cross check it. A monochromatic light of wavelength lambda is incidented on isolated metallic sphere of radius a. This is a metallic sphere and its radius is a. The threshold wavelength is lambda naught, which is larger than lambda. Lambda naught is greater than lambda. Find the number of photoelectrons emitted before the emission of photoelectron stops. You should calculate the number of photoelectrons emitted before the emission of photoelectron stops. Yeah, students, this is the basic relation of photoelectric effect. From here we are writing equation for stopping potential. Now when light is incidented on this metallic sphere, this is light incidented on the metal sphere. Electron get ejected from this. As electron is knocked out from this metal surface get positively charged. Okay. As the metal surface get positively charged, its potential can be written as 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by R, where Q is charge on the metallic sphere. And that charge Q can be written as 4 pi epsilon naught R into potential of the sphere. Now you want to find out number of electrons emitted. So total number of electrons emitted will be charge on sphere divided by charge of each electron. So this is how you can find out n value. First find out this V. Like of course you can take this V and substitute here, so that you will be getting n, which is 4 pi R V divided by E. This is 4 pi R into Hc divided by E square into 1 by lambda minus 1 by lambda naught is equal to n. This is the final expression for number of electrons emitted from this metallic sphere.